What if the story I've told you so far about Edgar Allan Poe isn't the full truth? Or rather, what if it's a truth shaped by distortion, silence, and centuries of repetition? In my earlier short form videos, I walk you through Poe's life, from his tragic origins up to his move to New York City with his wife Virginia Clemm. The journey included the death of his parents at the age of 2, his lost loves, debt, rejection, and that infamous marriage to Virginia, who was said to be 13 at the time. But I am pausing right here on continuing to tell you these unreliable truths. Because here's the thing: even though those details are widely accepted, they are not based on solid facts. And it's time that I clarify what I said and show you why you should question it all. The story I have given you is the common narrative. Poe is a brilliant man whose legacy continues to get butchered, and I'm here to unveil his true brilliance. I will continue dedicating my life to uncovering these world mysterious truths. I am beginning with Edgar Allan Poe. If you're curious of what my previous videos have shown, you can watch those on all platforms at Isabel Ethereal. If these informative videos intrigue you, please comment a book emoji down below. Let's start with Poe's parents. It's widely said that his mother, Eliza Poe, died of tuberculosis when he was 2, and that his father, David Poe, died 3 days later. A plea is said to have appeared in the Virginia Enquirer, allegedly written by or for Eliza, and it goes just as: To the humane heart, on this night, Miss Poe, lingering on her bed of disease and surrounded by her children, asks you for your assistance for one last time. It's a heart-wrenching image, but here's the thing: there is no existing printing record of that quote, and it's widely circulated in biographies, but no article has ever been recovered. And David Poe, there is no official death record of his death. He may have died around the same time, or he may have simply vanished. That part of Poe's origin story remains emotionally powerful but historically murky. We've also heard Poe was a drunk, an unreliable editor, and a self destructive artist. And yes, there's evidence that he drank, but the extent of it is where fact becomes distortion. Much of what we know about Poe comes from one man, Rufus Griswold. He was a rival, a critic, and the very person who wrote Poe's obituary. And in it, Griswold painted Poe as a madman, an addict, and a liar. Here is the disturbing part. Griswold not only slandered him in death, but then appointed himself as Poe's literary executor. He published Poe's work, profited off them, and inserted forged letters to back up his claims of Poe's instability. Think about that. The man who defamed Poe also controlled his legacy. That's not just unethical, it's historical sabotage. One of Poe's greatest works, Eureka, discusses cosmic expansion long before the Big Bang was ever a scientific theory. And right before his death, Poe was preparing to create his own publishing company. He was going to gain supporters through touring and lectures. Eureka was the last thing he wrote, and it shows how he was planning to unveil many hidden truths of the world. I can only imagine what else he would have published. Now, let's address the most controversial claim: Poe marrying his 13-year-old cousin, Virginia Clemm. That's the age most biographies cite, but when you dig deeper, there is a problem. Virginia's birth certificate does not exist, and our assumptions are clouded by vague baptismal records. The only concrete age we have is on their marriage license, where Poe himself wrote that she was 21. Some argue he did that to make the marriage look socially acceptable. Others, historians and genealogists, believe she may have actually been closer to 16. Underage marriage wasn't uncommon in the 1800s with parental consent. But why do so many sources cling to the number 13 without definite proof? More importantly, Surviving accounts describe a tender, possibly platonic bond. Poe refers to her as my little wifey, and letters suggest more of a familiar closeness than passion. Could this narrative of perversion have been crafted to damage his reputation rather than to reflect the truth? Another claim I repeated is that Poe was constantly broke, rejected, dismissed from his own poor choices. And yes, he struggled financially, but the 19th century publishing world was brutal. American authors had little protection, and foreign work was often printed for free. Poe self published 3 books before gaining recognition, funding them with military pay and aid from his acquaintances. And yet we frame him as irresponsible and not thriving in a system designed to exploit him. Creating literature with metaphysical viewpoints takes dedication, especially in an era without internet, grants, or essay research. It's hard to believe someone deeply lost in alcohol could sustain a vision output like Poe. His mind was too precise and too metaphysically attuned. Griswold also stated that he was friendless in his obituary, but Poe strongly believed he was going to start his own publishing company right before his death. He was going to get the support of people who were willing to attend his lectures and make donations. Another repeated claim is his failure at West Point. I mentioned he was court-martialed for gross neglect of duty. That is true, but what is often left out is why. Francis Allen, the one and only maternal figure in his life, had just died. He felt abandoned by John Allen, and he never wanted to be at West Point to begin with. In a letter to Allen, Poe writes, "You sent me to West Point like a beggar. The same difficulties are threatening me as before." Was it manipulation or a young man grasping for purpose? Poe already spoke Latin, French, Italian. He studied literature and military science. His breakdown wasn't a failure. It was a rejection of a life that didn't fit him. So let's review some points. Eliza's deathbed quote, beautiful but unverified. David Poe's death, unconfirmed. Virginia's age, questionable. Poe's alcoholism, amplified by unknown enemy. His financial ruin, a result of a broken literary system. His character, filtered by those who stood to gain from his downfall. When you put it together, the story we've been told starts to sound less like a biography and more like myth management. I'm not here to erase Poe's flaws. I'm here to ask what truths got buried underneath the current narration. Poe wasn't just a tortured soul, he was a visionary, and he described cosmic expansion in Eureka long before the Big Bang Theory. He balanced scientific curiosity with mystical wonder, but that side of him rarely gets taught because it does not serve the cliche. It does not serve the industry that profits off a haunted, broken man. I believe the truth matters, and I believe it's time to meet Poe again, not as a ghost of mishap, but a mind worth reverence. Moving forward, question everything, even on social media where false truths are echoed all day. Most people do not look deeper. It's easier to accept what they have been told. I'm choosing to pause right here in telling Poe's life story because much of it contradicts itself. If you want to explore Poe's letters and documents yourself, visit www.eapoe.org. My work now moves to Poe's writing. My next video will solely focus on Eureka and his medical physical views that echo across everything he wrote. And in Eureka, they are crystallized. It is a challenging read, but I'm here to break it down for you because these pages are the key to Poe's mind and maybe even ours. Thank you for watching. Follow me at Isabel Ethereal across all platforms. Always think critically, question loudly, and remember, echoes are not evidence. There's more to unveil, and I will be back soon.